Hey guys, welcome back to Weekly DEFUSE. We'll be recapping all the biggest happenings this week in Valorant and what to expect for next week. On this week's, we have the beginning of the lock-in tournament, some of our scorching hot takes, and another bad esports jersey. I'm your host for this week, Galaxy from the Inting Podcast, and today I'm joined by Dominic from Off Dome. How are you, Dom?
What's up? I'm doing all right. I've been busy. I feel like I'm always busy, but I've just been studying, have midterms coming up, but next week I have it off.
So we have more, we're expecting more Off the Dome content, I'm guessing?
Honestly, yeah. I'm trying to pump out as much as I can, but it's hard, man. I have I'm busy, but I've been trying to get out there, go outside.
Yeah. No, for sure. It's always good to see you posting content, and of course with this as well. So we have plenty of content for everybody.
Hell yeah!
But right now we're gonna just jump into the recap points. We're gonna go over everything and all the matches been going on and the results for some of you. For some of you that haven't been able to watch, we'll recap everything. We'll let you know what to expect. So in day one, we had Koi versus NRG, and then we had Detonation versus Giants Gaming. It was the first map with Koi and NRG. They won 2-0. And with Giants and Detonation, they won Giants won 2-0 as well. The only reason Loud didn't play that map, Loud was supposed to play on the first day. Just unfortunately, some of the players were very sick. So it actually got moved to today. So that's why there was only 2 matches played on first day.
Yeah, so we're recording this on the Wednesday, so we only have the Monday and Tuesday matches, and we'll kind of briefly go over the Wednesday matches as well. So on Tuesday, we had a lineup of some banger matches. Started off with what a lot of people called the toilet bowl, and by that I mean Command, I'm calling you out. You call it the toilet bowl of Valorant. Very false. Karmine versus Fun Plus Phoenix turned to be an amazing match. A 2-1. Fun Plus Phoenix looked like a very strong roster, but surprising of all of them, Karmine Corn looked really good. Shin specifically popped off during those matches. Plus 19 overall, plus 9 first kill, first death, which is an insane stat line. We know what to expect from Scream and Azera, and they just performed. I think Karmine Core is looking a lot better than we expected, and so is Fun Plus Phoenix. It's unfortunate they're going home, but we're going to have more Karmine Core to see. Then we had DRX BBL. Everyone kind of expected this to come. BBL did win on Ascent, but Turkey Ascent is kind of cracked. But other than that, DRX wiped the floor with them on Pearl 13-3 and destroyed them 7-13 on Haven, winning an 11-1 half. So that's a crazy lineup. And finally, the best match of the day, we had Cloud9 versus Paperex. One of these two teams had to go home. Paperex looking really good, but Cloud9 coming in with the poise and the ideas specifically to take down Paperex. And it really showed. MCE took it personally, coming from the guard when Paperex destroyed them. He came back, really showed them what was up, shut them down, 13-8, 13-4. So those are some strong maps. And Cloud9's going on, Paperex going home so early. I think that was kind of the match to watch from the tournament so far, and this is only the first round. Now, what we can expect for Wednesday, which is today, the day of the recording, is these would have happened, is we have Evil Genius versus Team Heretics, MIBR versus Talon, and Gen.G versus Loud. These are all amazing matches, 2 Brazilian matches in the same day, so we have Loud and MIBR playing. Both have a good chance at taking it. Gen.G has a strong and new roster with King, TS, Echo, Secret, and Meteor, all from Korea. They're a Korea-based organization now. As well, Talon has the old Xerxia, and we don't really know what to expect from EG, so all these matchups are a bit of a toss-up, but I think it's going to be an interesting day on Wednesday. The matches will then, again, restart on Friday, and we'll talk about those ones at the beginning of next week.
Yeah, I can't wait for today's matches. And a little thing, if none of you know, on Tuesday, we received a kind of minor patch note where Raze and Killjoy were nerfed, as KJ, her turret now goes from 100 HP to only 100. It went from 150 HP to 100 HP, so it's just essentially weaker and it's easier to destroy by most guns. And then we had Raze, her boombot, only lasts for 5 seconds instead of 10 seconds. So they almost cut the time in half for her util. So as of this patch, it will not be used in Sao Paulo. So this is the before the patch notes in Sao Paulo, just because they're mid-tournament, and it wouldn't be fair if they just published it mid-tournament. I don't think this would impact them a little too hard. I think maybe Raze might be impacted the most out of this, but I feel like Killjoy will still be viable. 100 HP on a turret, it's fine. With a Vandal or Phantom, it doesn't really make much of a difference, but maybe it just might make a difference with other weaker guns. And Raze, the Roomba was one of her key specialties and what made her clear space, but it's going to be interesting to see. It is going to hurt those agents a little bit, but I don't think they're essentially a bad agents anymore. They're still one of the more B tier agents. But yeah, for the most part, it's pretty good. I don't think it's gonna be played in VCL, but don't quote me on it because we do have an extra week break because this week they're off, and I think we come back. I believe we do come back next week for VCL. So for the VCL NA at least. Yeah, that's for the recap for the week.
Hell yeah. I think these agent changes are definitely gonna be interesting. We saw a lot of interesting and very different, unorthodox agent compositions so far in a lot of the Sao Paulo games. What are your thoughts on some of that? Because I know you've had some ideas about some of the triple initiator, double smoker, all this shit.
So it's been pretty interesting seeing the matches. The one match that really took surprise was FPX on Haven. They decided to run a Chamber, Viper, Fade, Sky, Omen. They decided to run Chamber post-nerf, still thinking he's still viable. I mean, they somehow won the map, so give props to them. But they decided to run a Viper instead of maybe we can go with a KO or maybe a Jet for opping. But it's kind of interesting to see that they ran a more unorthodox comp than anybody would like and still managed to win out. Pick up the stats. Pearl has been picked every single series, at least. It might have not played, but it has been every single series so far. So it's interesting to see that teams are really enjoying the map Pearl, and I think we've been the second most, I believe, is Haven. And it's going to be interesting to see what map picks everyone takes and then the agent pool. And also, it's interesting that we're seeing Lotus, where everyone thought like, oh, Lotus when we picked, it's only a month in, no teams run it. But then we saw karmine Corp pick it, and then we also saw Cloud9 play it as well. Also, mind you, winning those maps as well. So it's kind of interesting to see people gambling on Lotus right now.
Yeah, I also think it's really interesting. We've only seen one Harbor pick this whole tournament so far. Went on a bit of a Harbor watch recently, right? Picked by Nazera from karmine Corp, and he did not that great. They did win, but I think it's interesting that the sort of the nuance and the like new maps and new agents and how they're kind of played in competitive play, like who's going to be the trailblazer to do it. I'm still waiting for Yoru. Who's going to be the guy who plays Yoru, please?
I was hoping Paperex would kind of whip him out, but unfortunately they never did, unfortunately. I think they decided to safe pick it and they didn't pick him. I think they were taking this. I think they were definitely taking this tournament more seriously, and they were not very goofing around with their agent picks.
The agent picks from Cloud9 almost look more goofy. They have Yeon Chamber. They have Zelsis Phoenix. Like, these are, I don't know, more interesting ones than Paperex is kind of known for their weird-ass things.
Yeah.
Also, I wonder if the removal, is Bind still in the map pool, or is it out now?
No, so the Bind and Breeze are not in the map pool. They got replaced by Lotus and Split.
Oh, I forgot Split's back. Let's go.
Yeah, and so far it hasn't been picked once, which is interesting that no team is really picking them, because I always felt like Split was one of those maps where like an old classic would always happen, but surprisingly it didn't.
I wonder if the shift away from like more duelist heavy comps has kind of influenced how Split's picked, because I know Split, not that it's, to me, I'm not sure if this is actually how it is, but to me it always felt like a duelist heavy map because of how you have to engage and stuff. So I wonder if kind of like the fall off of duelist has kind of come along with the fall off of Split, but I might just be talking.
Yeah, I think with the Asian comps going around, because I'm definitely seeing that a lot more. The duelist is kind of shifting away, and they're going with more of a double initiator, double controller, which it also feels like the meta is kind of shifting slowly, which in my eyes, I feel like it's a good thing because it comes with a lot of creativity now instead of being a very predictable lineup. It really pushes the teams to really be creative when it comes to picking their team, picking their agents, and then picking the maps as well.
Yeah. I think the rest of the tournament's gonna be super interesting. Have your predictions changed? Who did you have coming out initially of the alpha stage, and how do you think that's changed?
So far, my predictions have been 100% from so far.
Okay, flex.
Yeah. I've gotten so far. Everything has been right so far. Of course, we have 3 more matches. For my Genji Loud, I still have Loud winning over it. I know they lost Saucy and Pancada, but I still feel like the young stars they picked up, they're not gonna fully fill the shoes of them too. But they're a good round up pickup. And I feel like I still have Loud picking up. They're still a very solid squad coming off their champions win. For Team Heretics or EG, I actually had Heretics winning it, as I am more familiar with their squad, and with Mixwell, Kellogg's, and Ovova, I feel like that squad just seems to mesh well with together. They've also all played together when they were on G2. So I also feel like they had that chemistry and they have that synergy. So I've had Heretics, because I really don't know what the EG squad is, because again we have 10, but I don't know if we actually have what the first 10 are. Actually we do. It's Boostio, Com, BCJ, Jojimo, and Ethan.
That also might just be like a fill-in, but they definitely do have, like, I don't know, a big ass roster.
Yeah, 10 people is big. And again, I don't know what to expect from him, so I had Team Heretics, and of course, single elimination. So it's a coin flip at that point. And then for MIBR and Talent Esports, I had Talent Esports because I'm looking at the MIBR roster. Not mine is Heat. I'm not really familiar with the other players. Heat was that one Jet one trick. I think he actually only picked Jet in every match, so it was kind of interesting to see. But I had Talent Esports. I know Patafin is injured or he's not on the team at the moment. You said.
Yeah, I think he had a wrist injury.
Yeah, so he's not on. I mean, it might affect the team a little bit, but I still believe Talent Esport will come on top when it comes against MIBR.
Yeah, I think the rest of this tournament's gonna be super interesting. I'm excited. By the time of next week, I think Omega will have just started or just about starting, and Alpha will be done. So we'll be able to kind of reflect on those a little bit. And either way, this tournament's shaping up to be so good. I think it's just super interesting. The single elimination definitely adds a little bit more weight to it, but it definitely feels a little less. There's a little less weight to the tournament as a whole. To each match, there's definitely a lot more weight, but I think it's a good way to kind of show what each team can do and sort of build up what to expect a little bit from each team, at least what their capabilities are, you know? Because I think a lot of these teams we haven't seen play yet, and we're starting to get an understanding of, oh, okay, maybe this team is better than we think, like Karmine Corp, or maybe this team isn't as good as we thought. Someone like, I don't know, Detonation.
Yeah. No, Detonation definitely dropped the bomb when it comes to that one. But I feel like so far the tournament has been really interesting, and it's been really fun to watch because you'll see like a lot of teams really push the greater teams, like we saw with BBL Esports, like really pushing DRX on a set and managed to squeeze out a win. So it's going to be a very interesting sport. It can be again with a single elimination format. It can be anybody's game.
Hell yeah. EcoForce?
Yeah. All right. Now we're moving on to our segment, our Eco Force. Where are you ecoing, saving, and picking a safe pick, or you're forcing and picking one of your scorching hot takes? So, Dom, let's see what your first pick is.
All right, listen, I got a scorcher for you today, Galaxy. What is more important to an esports organization? Winning, having good players, having run correctly, or having the best damn jersey out of anybody on the team? You know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about Giants Gaming and their Subway awkward jersey. It just has a big Burger King logo on the front with Giants and Nike on it, and it's just green and yellow. It looks really funny. It's to commemorate the Brazil and Brazil colors. It's a special lock-in jersey, but I just think it looks so funny. It looks like he's a Subway employee. Or maybe a Burger King employee because there's a big Burger King logo on the front. It is just not a good-looking jersey, and I have a lot of thoughts on like various esports jerseys, but I think that I think this is not how you do it. I guess there's got to be a place for design, but I think prioritizing logos might not be the best, especially the design itself needs some improvement. We saw this recently with other weird jerseys, like 100 Thieves jersey kind of looks a little awkward. I don't know if it's the design or like certain stipulations by sponsors and how they have to do it. But yeah, so I'm actually forcing up on these jerseys because of how bad they look. I want one. I want to wear one. I want to be able to represent Giants and Burger King and Subway. Eat fresh.
Yeah, I mean, with the way they were playing against Detonation, they were serving them as well. So it was. I think it's definitely the Subway jersey buff. I would agree on that. My eco of the week is gonna be how Cloud9 are the best team in the tournament. It's not even close. They played easily the best, the most biggest 2-0 stomp I've ever seen. They had Paperex in a bag. They prepped them so well, and Zeppa is the GOAT. I don't know if you saw, but he did a 1v3 clutch on Pearl, and it's essentially secured the match for them. And it really showed that Zeppa on land is a different beast. Cloud9 as a whole just look very, very solid. Ye looks like he's in form. He's playing the Chamber, he's playing the Sage, and ultimately old Andbox, if anyone doesn't remember, Andbox CA, he used to play a lot of Sage Ops, so I remember seeing that brought out a lot of memories. But I do have Cloud9 being the best team in the tournament right now. They have to go against DRX, so that's their first, in my opinion, that's going to be that's their hardest matchup so far. And if we look at the bracket, they have to go, if they beat DRX, they would have to go against either Heretics, EG, MIBR, or Talent Esports, which in my opinion, I feel like they can easily beat one of them or any of them. So I have a feeling DRX is going to be their biggest matchup so far. And if they beat DRX, everything else is essentially smooth sailing from here.
I agree. Yeah, I think DRX is, at least in the alpha bracket, is going to give them by far the most trouble. DRX did look really good against BBL. They did drop that map on Ascent, but again, Turkey on Ascent is kind of crazy. The Stomp on Pearl, the Stomp on Haven, I think is really interesting, and they were playing well with their main core. No Foxy, as we kind of talked about it, but I think, I don't know, you can't underestimate DRX just because of how solid of a squad they are. They had that chemistry like pre-built, and they seem to be playing in form, so they could squeak out a win. But at the same time, Cloud9, especially after the map on Paperex, looks so good.
It's really interesting to see how well. Actually, when was, I believe, DRX and Cloud9, they play on the 18th, so they play on Friday. Am I mistaken? I think they play on.
They play on Saturday.
So Saturday is going to be a really interesting match. I can't wait for that. But yeah, that is my eco of the week.
Sounds good. I got another force for you. I've been feeling very forceful
double
today.
force.
That came out
Okay.
wrong. I'm feeling bold and brash today. And that is I feel like in your description you didn't give MIBR their flowers. I think MIBR, the Brazilian representative, is going to make it to semifinals. So the reason why I say this is, one, there's been a little bit of rumblings that MIBR has been playing very well. Stax was saying that MIBR has by far the best aim they've ever played against. I think this team, one, with the being at home buff, I think helps a little bit. They have the whole crowd like on their side, and look at who they're playing up against, right? I originally had Talon winning out over MIBR, but with no Patty fan, it's going to be a little harder. Their team still looks really good, so it's not going to be a cakewalk, but they do have players like Heat. They have players like FRZ. They have JZ. I don't know how to pronounce a lot of these names, but I recognize them from various rosters all over Brazil. These are seasoned players, and while Talon is also a seasoned team, they're missing their kind of anchor. So I think that's going to be tough for them. Following that, Heretics versus EG. Again, that's sort of a toss-up, but it's sort of like a mid toss-up, you know? MIBR, with everything going for them, with the team they have, I think they can make it all the way to semifinals, probably lose to DRX or Cloud9. But I think they could make a nice little baby run here and sort of show what they have in the bag, not only for Brazil, but for what they have for the rest of the season.
I would say I would love MIBR, and I would agree the Brazil buff is there. It's definitely gonna be there, so the crowds are gonna be going crazy every time they even get a kill or win a round. So it's gonna be a very uphill battle. But I mean, I'm still confident in Talon Esport. I feel like they still have the depth for it, but that would be a really good matchup to see as well. My first force of the week is karmine Corp are going to upset the world. They are going to, I say, because they played so incredibly well and surprisingly well against Phoenix, which, mind you, are one of the top teams in China. They played extremely well, and it had to do with one player in particular named Shin. This kid went nuclear. He was a plus 19 this series, and on Pearl, he decided to, and he was like, that's it, I'm going to end the series, dropping 25 kills with an 84% cast rate, ending the series with a 379 ACS. He went nuclear on Pearl. And with a team that has Nevera and Scream, making Shin the one that goes and pops off is insane, and it really shows the depth of the squad and how karmine Corp really picked and chose this team. So I'm gonna change my pick, and I feel like karmine Corp might actually upset the bracket, and they might be able to beat NRG, which I still do have beating Giants, even though Giants played extremely well. I could see a world where karmine Corp actually qualifies. So that is my scorching hot take of the week.
Good take. I like that take. I think karmine Corp definitely proved a lot of things in that match, especially because they were kind of just like the French team that had Scream and Nevera, but now they're the French team that has Scream, Nevera, and Shin, and played Harbor, So I think they're definitely like building up more of an identity because they were kind of like quiet before franchising started, right? And I'm excited to see them play now. This is one of my teams to watch. I want to see that matchup against either Loud or Genji.
No, yeah, for sure. And it's gonna be. I'm really excited. Of course, I'm a Scream. I've been loving Scream ever since he played CS. So just seeing him go out there and frag out, and then now seeing like it really bring it back to CS days where like French rosters were the hit, and now seeing karmine Corp, I feel like they're the only French, like fully French-speaking team in the whole tournament. I'm not too mistaken. I'm pretty sure they are. It's gonna be interesting to see. They're gonna be representing France as a whole. So it's I'm really excited to see what they have in mind.
Hell yeah! So next we have a little bit of a different segment coming up next. We have our field correspondent Rano analyzing some of the matches from Sao Paulo to go over some of their significance, to kind of show a little bit of something that he saw that he thought was really impactful, and will kind of give you more insight in some of these games. So let's go over that now.
I found some things that I wanted to point out and highlight, basically, and we'll see where they fit in. This is C9 versus Paperex, right? A very highly anticipated match. Paperex has a lot of star talent. C9 is no stranger. I definitely want to highlight this pistol round, as well as some of the A defaulting and just general decision making. this series was easily written off as Cloud9 being just a better team and playing more fluid or healthier, whatever you want to say. But Paperex, I don't think got enough credit at all, especially on like the forums. So immediately see some early defaulting towards A. Right, we see a flash, we see Neon sprint up, we see a smoke, and immediately, as soon as Paperex sees all this information, basically, they know there's 2, maybe even 3A, they all sprint spawn to C. This is the moment where Cloud9 gets the information that they're coming C or that they're grouped C. And look at the positioning, right? The attackers have completely out-rotated, and Paperex should be able to run their execute and get a free plant, basically.
C spotted the chamber and a quick TP out. We see that escapism with some early aggression on C. Beautiful use of the chamber, but ultimately he's going to be forced back.
The Sage Wall being used to give them quick access to the site, but also making it a bit more awkward for those rotations to come through. If they want to try and pincer him from another angle, don't have much to play with here. In fact, they have barely anything. A smoke on Vanity, and other than that, no utility to be had. But they managed to find Mindfreak.
Great opening duel for Leaf. They've got the pressure to keep it going as well. Paperex need to slow this down. They need some kills. Only the one to be found. No hero just yet, and that defuse is underway. They might not be able to stop it, and with no players left.
So here's what goes down. Roomba, right? Immediately. And they waste no time because they saw 3A. They're not going to pussyfoot around and jiggle peek angles. No, it's fucking go time. Jing knows this shit. He'll roll the Roomba, look to nade site, and the wall raises the Roomba up so that it can roll onto the bomb site, right? They have completely flushed out the site. This Roomba is going to bounce like this, or at least it should. I don't know if it does. That's the idea here, right? It's going to clear out the stairs. The nade clears out this back area. The defenders can play close on the wall and just rotating in, basically. But yeah, so now they go to put the bomb down, and they want to get off the site, and I think this is where the first mistake kind of comes in. They didn't account for Cloud9's util on the retake. They're expecting to play maybe a flash or two, but also into Cypher and Omen. At least 2 instances, maybe even a third if they had Neon Wall, where they would not be able to see the bomb. Playing off the site here, I think, is a questionable decision. How I would have played this is how maybe you play like a Haven C post plant. I don't know how you would set it up, but something like this, right? Where we have some crossfires. This guy can peek off this thing. These guys have cross, whatever, right? And then the rest leave and get off the site, and then they're kind of the insurance on the round. Their team is kind of not in position to hold, right? They're clustered around the stairs. Go down Cloud9 just being ready to fast retake. They ran over, they probably calmed the plan while they were rotating and just went in. They didn't care. Also, I do want to put some blame on Paperex though, because this is obviously a strat that they have planned out, and they should have talked about their post plant. It looked like they were just scrambling, right? They get into this position, and these guys are both looking to leave. This guy is like kind of covering, but maybe wants to leave. He's not off the wall yet, right? And then like 5 seconds later, they're starting to get off. Now Omen's getting back on. Now Sky's getting back on. Now Ray's getting back on. So it's almost like I just wanted to highlight a mistake, basically, because I think the plan was super cool, right? Wall up your Roomba, blast into the site and just bust it wide open, and then get a free bomb plant. And they just let this one slip because of bad post plant planning. Right, so it's even numbers. Paperex had a weapon disadvantage. Jing has ult. It's important. Here they kind of are leaning into their context already, right? They're always seeing multiple people defaulting A. Their C execs have been good. They're not successful in the post plant, but it just feels right. They don't think extra. They're just like, this feels good. So they head over to C, and this is how they pop. This is what this is just such a sick round.
The rifle's made its way into another player's hands. It's Mindfreak. Mindfreak's the last man. They come in.
Oh, he's actually managed to get past it. Jing just goes blast backing through and gets 2. That's absurd. He got over the trip just about, and now Mindfreak's found another. It's the weak buys that are playing a part in this map. So
I wonder if this, I wonder if this wall is to block off this trademark. I think it's just a good route into the site, as previously mentioned. Yeah, so the wall does come down, and it serves as a smoke, essentially, right? To smoke off this connector and make the retake more difficult. So the nade goes into back here, right? And he actually double satchels into it. Wow, it's still too fast. Jing is gonna throw a nade into stairwell and then actually double satchel himself into the nade, which is the most insane shit I've ever seen. And what he actually ends up doing, and with the flash too, right? The flash hits both defenders, and basically before they can react, Leaf saw this guy coming, right? Like he saw this guy coming, and Jing is still on such an unexpected entry that he finds both kills off the back of supportive util. This is almost one of those flashes that I find like disorienting, It's like they both knew where he went, but just taking them out of the game for that split second kind of just fucks with them just enough. And Jing's good for 2. See, I meing, both of these guys are full white. I just thought this was an incredible entry, and he didn't even use his ult. I don't know. I guess they're out. But Jing is such a badass, like, and that's why I think they don't get enough credit, right? Is like these little tiny micro in the execs throughout both games in the series. Yeah, they did lose both games, right? Yes, it was 13-8, 13-4. But Paperex isn't bad by any stretch, right? Like, Paperex is a kick-ass team.
And we're back.
Thank you, Rano, for that. I feel like there was a lot of good plays, and I feel like Rano like explaining a lot to people, because I know going over some plays and going over like teams and how they operate is really interesting. It feels like they're playing chess also when it comes to when you really look at the nooks and crannies of it. So thank you, Rano, for that. I feel like this is your idea, so I'm gonna have you introduce this idea. So this is gonna be interesting for this for the listeners as well.
Okay, so for the main topic today, right? We always try to have like a little geist, you know, something to talk about to fill the bulk of the time that's not just like recapping points. Today, we're doing a VCT Sao Paulo lock-in fantasy draft, right? What this is we're going to select players. We have 2 different drafts. We're going to do one this week just for Alpha and one next week for Omega. The one this week is we have to select 5 players to construct a team. What we'll be doing is we'll be summing together their VLR ratings, so the ratings on VLR. We're just going to take the average of all the games they played, because some teams will play more, some teams will play less, etc. And we'll sum them up at the end and see who won for the week. This week we'll go until the end of the Alpha bracket. There has been a few games already played, but that's chill. We just don't have to pick the players that are out. It's kind of an advantage. But next week we'll be picking teams from the Omega bracket. So that's teams like Navi, 100 Thieves, Sentinels, Fnatic, all these teams. And we'll be picking the best teams and seeing what they kind of produce. I think this is going to be interesting. This might go horribly, but I think it's a fun little way to kind of, you know, go head to head and prove that I'm the better thinker than my friend Galaxy over here.
For sure. With this being your segment, I'll give you the first overall draft pick. So you can pick the pick,
shit,
and then we'll go one-on-one. I'm pretty confident in my picks.
Really? Okay. Well, I was going to say, I probably should have, I didn't write down as much as I wanted to. I kind of wanted to write, like, actually do some, like, due diligence here, but I think with the first overall pick, like, I think I have to pick Ye. Like, I think I just have to pick Ye. Best player in the world, especially in 2022. He didn't do as well as some of his teammates. Leaf and Zeppa actually had higher ratings overall, but I got to stick to Ye being just, like, the best player. I think he's going to perform at the highest level when it's needed.
All right. I feel like that's a really safe pick. My first overall pick, which is, I'm going to be a bit of a surprise, I am going to have RB from DRX. So he played the Astra, KO, and KJ, and this guy does not miss. Seeing him, especially on Haven, he didn't die the first 9 rounds of the match. He went nuclear, and at clutch after clutch, he wasn't just lurking and everything. He was also like participating in the gunfights and actually initiating it. So he wasn't just like killing them from behind or just saving. No, they won the first 9 rounds, and then he didn't even die. So having that also on top of a great supporting cast with you, I have RB as my first overall pick.
Damn, RB definitely is good. I looked it up. RB has the 7th highest rating right now, and especially if they go up against that game against Cloud9, and he does the same kind of stuff, I think he could be way higher too.
Yeah, I have good confidence. Also playing as the KJ and Astra, I might inflate it a little bit, but I still have confidence in him.
Okay, I like where your head's at. I think I have a lot of ideas here. I think my next pick, I'm gonna go for a bit of a riskier pick. I'm gonna pick Som from NRG next. Som really showed up. He kind of struggled in the first map, if I'm not mistaken. No, he did really well in the first map, actually. He was struggling at the beginning when Koi was kind of taking the lead in the 9-3 half. But Som really turned it up and showed what he could do both as a smoker and as a duelist. Actually, no, he was a double smoker, I lied. But overall, he did a lot and kind of turned it up when needed. I think that's a really important thing. I think as we're seeing with this NRG team, they have a strong sort of core of the Optic guys, and then coming in swinging with Artis and coming in swinging with Som, I think kind of anchoring the back is amazing. And I think going up against Giants, they definitely are the heavy favorites in that chance, and I hope to see, Som just goes crazy.
Yeah. I feel like Som, I think this is, I believe, his first Valorant LAN also, so he played really well for his first Valorant. I like it. My second overall pick. I'm picking a controller. I'm picking Navera from Karmine Corp.
Dude, that's what I was gonna pick. That's who I was gonna pick.
He only out of the 3 maps, he stuck it and only played Omen. But not only that, he's also opping as Omen. So it's kind of interesting that his playstyle is pretty interesting. Not only playing the controller, but he's also opping with the controller. He played really consistently. I think he was the most consistent player out of everybody. He just was never also like the issue, but he was never also the guy who started out. So I have Navera as my controller for the week. He ended the series with a 1.17 rating, which is nothing too crazy, but I also feel like that's also a safe pick for me. So I have Navera as my second overall pick.
I was literally debating between Navera and Som, and I thought I'd pick Navera because I figured you'd leave him till later. He's insanely consistent, especially being that opping Omen, being the double opping with Scream, insanely good. He is super consistent. It seems like he is doing more of the offensive load alongside Shin, or at least doing some of like the anchoring stuff, which I think is really good and will definitely like bump up his rating as well. And I think, oh man, that was a good pick.
Yeah, no, I was hoping you didn't pick him, but then you picked Som, and I was like, thank God you picked Som. That's why I want to pick Navera.
This is a hard one. All right, next I think I'm gonna have to go with my gut. Actually, no, I lied. I'm not going to go with my gut. Instead, I'm going to go all in on Cloud9. Give me Zeppa. Damn,
Zeppa, no, he was going to be my pick.
Yeah, fuck you.
Damn.
Zeppa is an insanely consistent initiator. He's been that guy for a while now. When he first started off, he was slotted right into that team and was kind of, I don't want to say mid, but he wasn't doing as good as his teammates. As time went on throughout 2022, he has slowly become one of, if not the best initiator in North America, probably alongside like Trent. And there's probably a few others in there. But Zeppa is just insanely consistent, knows when to get his kills, knows when to... He's a very smart player overall, and has proved it time and time again with insanely high stats. Right now, he's rocking a 1.47 VLR rating, which is insanely good. Anything above 1 is good. So a 1.47 is good. 95% cast, plus 95% cast, I get along all 3 maps. So he's in there like swimwear. Zeppa's so good.
Yeah, I think that was a really safe pick. For me, I'm gonna go back to Karmine Corp, and I'm gonna bet on my boy Shin. Again, we talked about it earlier today, how he dominated, and I still think he might, I don't think so he'll dominate again like he did this match, but he'll still be the consistent fragger on that team where he'll just make plays or he'll just control the map. Right now, he has a 1.37 rating with a 75% cast rate, which is pretty good, and I think the way he just takes over maps, when he's hot, he's actually unstoppable. FPX had no chance of winning when he caught fire, and I feel like it's going to be my safe pick it's going to be Shin.
Okay, I like that pick. I'm going to go with the pick that I was thinking about doing. I'm going to take Heat from MIBR at my 4. I think Heat is going to be another offensive juggernaut for MIBR. I think MIBR is going to go far, so I think his stats going to be good. He has been known to kind of bust her out sometimes, which I think is tough, but hope that he just stays consistent and, I don't know, brings me my money.
I think, yeah, because I remember saying that he was that Opera Jet 1 trick for, I feel, what was that?
It was
Vivo Keyed, I think.
Vivo Keyed. It was
Vivo Keyed. They had him just play as the Op Jet 1 trick, so it's gonna be interesting to see if he's gonna maybe branch out to other agents or he's gonna stick to the Jet role, which he's very comfortable with. So I feel like that was a pretty safe pick in my opinion. That was a really good pick. I have a bit of an underdog pick. I know he's already proven, but I have Zeke from Team Heretics as the duelist of the team, and I also feel like he's still cracked, and I feel like he's still very underappreciated for what he can bring on the squad. I also feel like Zeke is gonna do so much for the team, and having also Mixwell, Avova, and Kellogg's, just you also have to deal with those on top of Zeke. I feel like Zeke is gonna have a very easy job going into the match, and it's against EG, which is, again, we don't know very much of, but I feel like Heretics just have a very solid core, so I'm gonna go with a safe pick of Zeke.
Okay, I like that. Zeke played super well when he was on Ascend when they won the championship. I don't know, I haven't seen him play recently, but I think that's a pretty solid pick overall. Now, for my final pick, I'm going to metagame this a tiny bit, and I'm going to pick Trex from Koi Esports. Now, if you don't know, Koi already out of the tournament, but look at Trex's stat line. He has a rating of 1.24, which is not like the best, but especially in that Koi game, he played the best out of anybody else on that team. He plus 19 overall, and that 1.24, I'm like, that's just, it's locked in now because it can't go up or down. So I'm going to take that. I'm going to take that to the bank.
Yeah. I think it's definitely, again, because he's unfortunately out, so that rating is staying. It's solid. So it's gonna be interesting to see if it's gonna help you or it's gonna hurt you in the end. But
I hope it helps me. I think a good solid guy, just like, it's like those coins in the bank. Because what if someone just busters out, right? What if someone just has a horrible game, right?
No, I
So we'll
definitely
see.
it's gonna be interesting. I definitely understand that. For my final pick, okay, screw it. I'm going in on Nukia from Giants Esports. Nukia was easily the best player when it came to G2 last year, and he was definitely one of the solid rocks and the foundation, in my opinion. Him and Mixwell were the two really solid foundations of that G2 esports squad last year. And I'm gonna say this right now, I do feel like Nukia he played out of his mind. Right now, as of this moment, he has a 141 rating. That's in my opinion, that's a really good rating. And I also feel like, again, yes, they are going against NRG, so he's definitely gonna have a much harder time compared to Detonation. But I also feel like he's still gonna frag out and he's still gonna really perform well. Not only did he end the squad with a plus 14, he also ended with an 86 cast rate. So as Breach and Sage, so he wasn't staying back. He was in there the whole time. Like, he wasn't playing safe. He was egoing everybody, and he was really confident in his abilities. So I have Nukia as my final pick for the week.
That's interesting. I'm surprised you didn't go with Cloud, who Cloud on Giants is actually doing a little bit better. But I kind of understand because he's having it might just be like more of a one-shot performance. Cloud, I'm pretty sure coming from the old Na'Vi, has been super good, but definitely doesn't think he has that impact as Nukia might have.
Yeah, and I'm also
interesting.
confident in the Crashies pick that I got. I feel like he just has more LAN experience. He's just, in my opinion, the overall one of the better initiators. I feel like Cloud, just had one really good match against Detonation, which is, again, we could arguably say one of the worst or weaker APAC teams. So I say that Crashies is going to have like a really good, he's going to essentially Sova diff Cloud. So that's my opinion, and I feel like that's going to be a safe pick for me.
Cool. So let's quickly go through our picks real quick. I think they're in the doc. I have Ye, Som, Zeppa, Heat, and Trex. Damn.
I like your squad. Your squad is very solid, and I feel like I'll score with the Trex pick. It's gonna be interesting. I know you met it a little bit, but I like the Trex pick. Mine, I have RB, Nevera, Shin, Zeke, and Nukia. So again, I am hoping that Shin also pops off, but at the same time, I am also very confident in Zeke. I feel like Zeke is one of those players that, like, give him an inch, he'll make a mile out of it. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how Zeke is gonna perform. I feel like with a very good Heretics team as well. So yeah, I have that squad going, and it's gonna be interesting what we're gonna pick or what the outcome is.
I like that I kind of have like the NA guys and you have the EU guys. You have like,
I do.
4
EU guys with a sprinkle of Korea in there.
Yeah, you got a sprinkle of Korea and I got a sprinkle of Brazil and trucks, I guess. But
So I got that pick, and that's my pick. I'm pretty confident in yours. I like your picks. Yes, you definitely picked up a lot of the safe picks. I feel like Zeppa and Ye and Sam are really safe picks.
I think the problem is you can have some. If your guys have explosive games, they could just like take me over though.
Yeah, and I'm hoping Zeke is one of those players that have just one of those explosive games. So it's gonna be interesting.
Hell yeah. Well, let's wrap this up.
So as of this recording, just want to let you guys know, as of the 15th, there's Gen G and Loud, Heretics and EG, and MIBR and Talon Esports. Just make sure to watch those games. It's gonna be really interesting. And then as of next week, the entire alpha bracket will be finished. So we're gonna be going over all of that stuff. And again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to keep up with everything we do on social media, follow me on Galaxy Valo on Twitter, and the Inting Podcast. We post regularly and weekly podcast episodes. And then make sure to follow Dominic Live or Off the Dome.
Wherever. I'm at Twitter on Quick Dome, Off the Dome for main content, Dominic Live for more other content. I'm around.
Yeah. So make sure to follow our socials and follow our channels. But thank you guys for listening, and I appreciate you guys coming in again for another week of Weekly Defuse.
Have a good one, guys. See you next week.
All right, guys. Have a good one.